Most founders don't need more content. They need one book that says in 90 minutes what their feed has been trying to say for 3 years. A book that walks into rooms before they do, and a book that turns strangers into, actually, I already know you. And then they like and they trust you. Well, today in my kitchen, I'm sitting with a multi-published author and a publisher who has turned their own story into books for teens, for parents, for professionals, and for faith communities. And now she helps other people to do the same. If you've ever said, one day I'll write my book, this is the episode where one day becomes your plan, and let's get right to it. But first of all, if you're joining us, maybe with a cup of tea or not so guilty biscuit, or maybe zoning in with your yogurt pot in hand, I'd like to ask you, if what we are sharing has been resonating, would you kindly subscribe and like our channel and tell others about it? Let us help grow. Let us help us to grow so that we can reach more founders and community members. And now back to my kitchen. Welcome back to my kitchen, everyone. This is a space where we talk honestly about things that actually move life and business forward. The stuff you think about while you're cooking, you're doing your school runs, or staring at your laptop wondering what on earth to post next. Today we're talking about something that sits quietly on a lot of to-do lists. I'm going to write that book. You know that book, that one, the book that lives in your notes, the book friends say you should write, and the book that keeps whispering, I could help people and I could open doors for you. But then the real thoughts come, and then you're back into, oh, really, I'm not a real writer. Who am I to write a book? Who's even going to listen to me? I don't have time. Even if I finish it, how will I sell it? So you keep chasing clients one by one, and your future reader is somewhere else reading someone else's book. Today, I've brought someone into my kitchen who lives right in the intersection of books, healing, and business. Kemi, welcome to my kitchen.
Thank you so much, Yvonne. It's a real pleasure to be here. And I love that intro. Brilliant.
It's a pleasure to have you, Kemi. Kemi, you're a British author, you're a publisher, you're an educator, you're a coach, you're a mental health nurse, you're a minister, you're an entrepreneur. You're the author of Money Skills for Teens Made Simple, giving young people real-world money skills. Love made this happen, about how love transforms relationships. Muna and her superhero hair, a children's book celebrating identity and confidence, manifesting purpose, helping people discover and walk in their purpose. How do you do it, my friend?
It's so strange. When you put it like that, it becomes so real. For me, it is normal. It is what I do. And then when you start making a list, and I'll think, oh my God, what's she been doing in the last year? It's like I've had no life.
Oh, yes, you did. It's in the books.
It's in the books.
And then even on top of the books, you have a publishing agency as well, right?
Yes, I have a publishing agency. I turned my passion into purpose, and my passion is books. It has been like this since I was a child. I always loved writing. I remember the first write-up I did. Funny enough, it was about love. And my first book is called Love Made This Happen. And I remember writing that and giving it to my dad. I think was I 8 or 9 or something like that. And my dad was correcting me. I can still remember him saying, oh, you shouldn't use this, you should use that. And I'm thinking, oh, wow. So this actually became my life.
This became your life. And so welcome to my kitchen. In my Swahili, we usually say karibu, and this is a really exciting one. And I'm so glad you're here. Before we get into the real story, though, and before we get into the other bit that everyone's waiting for, I know you've got a little present coming up the end. Would you like to
Oh,
give us
yes.
a bit of
Yes. Because I'm passionate about writing books, I started writing my own books. And so far, I've written 29 books in just over a year.
Wow.
And I have started helping people write their books. So I have quite a number of clients at the minute whom, hopefully all their books should be out by the end of this year or the beginning of next year. And I actually want to help people to get their story out there. So I have a little present at the end. It's a complimentary writing skills blueprint, which I created for people who want to start thinking about how to go about writing their book. Start with your why. That's what it's called. So it says
with your why, and you're going to be giving it at the end. So you have to stay to the end to get this.
That's it.
Yes, you've got it.
And there's another.
It's only today, I believe, that you're giving this out. It's only today on the school, so you've got to stay till the end. And before we get into that very beautiful thing that you just did right there, right? The funnels, and the strategy. I'd like to start with the human side to this story. 29 books in just a year. Because I don't believe anybody wakes up to say, I'm in love, I'm going to write a book, or I'd love to be stressed and vulnerable and then maybe write a book. Let's start with Kemi's story and the very first book. Take us back before you were author Kemi and publisher Kemi. What was happening in your life that made you think, this needs to be a book, not just a thought in my head?
Well, I'll be honest. I was going through pain. I had pain everywhere. I was running a business. Things were going wrong in the business. I was having relationship problems, relationship with my daughter. I was having problems at work. I was a mental health nurse, and I was in kind of like a toxic environment, and it was really, really, and I was the clinical lead. You can imagine I was managing people, and it was just so hard to do at that time. And then I was having problems in my relationships as well. There was problems with my accommodation. I had flooding. It was like, when it rains, it pours.
Eye of a storm. Yes. Oh my God. Yeah.
And then as a Christian, I started to pray. So, as you do, you pray and you pray and you pray, and you fast and you fast and you fast and you ask God, what have I done wrong? If there's anything I've done, forgive me. Let me know. I don't know what it is I'm doing right or wrong. Please let me know. So it turns out I just started to put pen on paper, and that was how my first book, Love Made This Happen, because I started to realize that to deal with all the relationships, it's funny because I even had relationship problem in church, and I was a minister. I think, come on, you can't make this up. So I decided I'm writing Love Made This Happen, and I started to write about love, from a psychology perspective as well as from a human perspective. And based on my experiences, I talk about different relationships, the relationships with parents, relationship with children, and the friendships and stuff like that, and how love can be used to manage that. But the main love was the love of myself.
Yes.
Myself. Yes. So I started to develop self-love and not loading for myself. And then I started to write. And I promise you, since I started writing, I haven't stopped. I can't stop writing. I get inspired so much now. It's like, you know what it is with neuroplasticity in your brain. As soon as you start doing something, your brain then focuses on that. And then I hyper focus a lot. So I started focusing on that. And you can imagine I was working full time. And every day I come back from work, I'm writing. Sometimes I'm driving and I stop. I've got an idea.
And you put it on paper.
So I stopped. I used to have loads. I still have them. I still have loads of different papers and books where I would start writing an idea that comes to my head. And that's why I'm writing so many different books, because I write the idea. So when I start to put the book together, I then take the idea from the book and then make it into,
and then you make it into the
Yeah.
book. Because we're actually going to come, that is one of your kind of your magic, I would say the magic of writing, the micro habits, and we'll come back to that, because I believe there's so much value that we all can get from just that one session from Kemi, because she's telling us exactly what she learned. She's putting it into practice. It's not theory, it's a lived experience on how you actually become an author. And what did writing that first book actually do for you? So from a personal perspective, yes, but also from in terms of the doors that opened, the rooms you've been invited to, because I've been seeing you everywhere. The people that have suddenly understood who you are, because you were telling us, people, you were having all this conflict. People didn't know you, they didn't know how to relate to you, and all of a sudden you're writing books. Everyone is like, oh, yes, tell us a little bit.
I know, it's amazing. You know something that really, I was in, I'm part of a group called Global Women, and we were in there, and someone was speaking and was talking about your presence and the importance of your brand. So she said, oh, have you ever Googled yourself to find out, if if anyone knows you? So I did, and I found, oh my God, yes, people actually do know me. And I
got an audience.
I'm thinking, is that me? And that's what the book can do for you, because when I started to write, that was not my plan. I did not plan to become, the writing was supposed to be healing, and it did the healing, because after that, I just felt so much better. I just felt so light, so much lighter. It became my therapy. And then I now thought, if I'm doing this for myself, there must be so many other people out there who have half-written manuscripts, who want to experience this, who want to deal with their pain in one. Because even as a mental health practitioner, I always tell people about the importance of journaling. I tell them the importance of expressive writing, and I thought, why not do it for other people? And to be fair, I was surprised, because everywhere I go, one person wanted to write a book. 85% of people want to write a book. 85%.
85. That's a big number. 85%. So 85% out there, they want to, write a book for various reasons. We'll get into the reasons for writing a book in a bit. But I just want to go back to your story. So you've now written for teens, you've written for adults, you've written for children, faith communities. That's a really wide range. How did that journey from one book lead to, actually, I'm going to build a whole publishing academy?
Again, this is what passion does, isn't it? Passion drives you. I was a youth minister for many years, and I was running my own youth ministry called Beacon of Light. And I was spending time with young people, and I used to be an educator, as you know. I was a principal of college. So I was quite used to young people. Then I started to realize that even in my home, I encourage my children to understand the value of money and also to become entrepreneurs in their mindset. So I started to nurture the mindset from very young. Even my child, when she was 10 years old, she wanted to do this lip gloss thing, and we invested in it, and in the end she didn't, but then she now came up and said she wanted to start doing hair. So we bought her a mannequin. Now she has a business doing hair. As I'm talking to you right now, she's doing someone's hair. You understand? She's doing so well, and it was the same thing I did with my middle daughter. She started selling things in school. And I remember the first day we went to Tesco's. She bought some drinks, she bought some donuts. At that time, it was £5 for a pound, and she would sell them the drink with the donut as an extra, and I started to develop and nurture that. So I thought, okay, I will put that into a book, and a lot of those examples are in the book that I wrote called Money Skills for Teens Made Simple. So I realized that a lot of young people did not understand money. And that I also found in my place where, as a mental health practitioner, many of them will come to me. Some of them have been in care. They don't understand money at all. So I started to write for young people. So I wrote my second book, which was called Money Skills for Teens Made Simple. And I looked at savings, investment, starting your own business. I even did a bonus book called Teen Cash Flow to help people, teenagers, to start thinking about what kind of online, especially online work that they can do to make money. So that came about. And then I started to do some activity books because I became a grandmom, through my partner. His daughter gave birth to a child. And then I started thinking, I need to give something back to the children, because he was very interested in maths and counting. He from baby, he was counting. So I thought, okay, I'm going to create activity books for counting, and then I went into children. So, and it went on like that. And then I decided, okay, identity was something that I wanted people to understand. And I remembered having an issue with my daughter's hair when she was in school. So I decided to write Mona and her superhero hair, and so it just went on like that. And then as a mental health nurse, I realized a lot of children are going through anxiety. They probably don't understand it. And then I wrote Anne and the Worry Monster to try and make it easy for people to understand, and so that's how I started going on creating activity books. I created mental health coloring books because I believe in coloring books. I use them and I believe they're very therapeutic. It's like art therapy, so I created a lot of activity books, a lot of faith books, to help people, because obviously I'm a minister, so to help people to understand the Bible and the Word of God. As a teacher, I teach in church as well, and that's how all those books came about, and then I decided, why not start doing it for other people as well? Why not teach them how to start to bring their story out and use their story to move themselves forward? Now, for me, writing those books became my authority. People started to realize that I can actually do it, because that was my proof. I was able to prove that if I've written 29 books, and you can see it, it's not hidden. You can go on Amazon and check it out. That made me an authority. That showed that I can do what I say I'm going to do. So if you want to write your books, I can make sure that it happens. And that's how I started to get my clients, and that's how I started to help other people publish. And I believe we're going to talk about, how, your book can make you an authority. And now I created my Purpose Pathway podcast as well, just to, again, help people with their stories, help people start to share, their pain, and look at and also it's very therapeutic. Look at the journey that they've had to go through to get to where they are. So I'm a stories person. I love stories, and now I get invited to speak, to share my knowledge. And this is what a book can do for you. Yvonne?
Sorry, somehow I was off the stream. Okay.
I know, technology, what can we do?
I was wondering what's going on, but it was very, very interesting what you were saying as well. So you've come from that, you're the authority, and you've lived both sides. The vulnerable person with a story. So you understand, right? You understand when somebody comes and they say, "Oh, I'm really struggling with this," and then, as you say, that, why don't we put it, we put thought onto pen and paper, and boom, a book comes of it. But then you've also come from the other side of it, which is, that founder, and then you seeing a book as a tool. So that'll be really interesting for us to get into. But before we get into both of these sides, right, how we make it a reality, but how we make it also be a monetary tool, let's talk about why a book still matters, especially now. We're so used to, shorts and and right now people are being told post more, do podcast, show up on every platform. And in a world of short form, everything, literally somebody told me the other day, Netflix are coming up with short form. Why do you still believe a book is worth the work? Because it takes work, doesn't it, to write a book?
It does take work to write a book, but these days the work has been streamlined. We've got a lot of assistance with writing your book now, so it's no longer that chore that it used to be, where people say, "Oh, I used to take 8 years to write a book." I think the 8 years came from the fact that you just got carried away with other things. Because to be fair, my first book I started to write was about 25 years ago, and it never made it to the shelf. It just stood as a manuscript, But
the best kept secret.
The best print books are still the fastest selling type of book in the market. Because a lot of people, yes, we have digital books, but a lot of people still find print books as the best. For me, I still love to have a book in my hand. And that's me. I do a lot of Audible. So a lot of my books are in audiobooks as well. So I do a lot of Audible. But print books are still the way to go. Because number one, there are ebooks, but it's on the screen. And sometimes people want away from screen time. In fact, speaking to you right now, I've been staring at the screen for a while. My eyes are beginning to feel a bit funny because I spend a lot of time in front of a screen. So I always wear my glasses, and I'm about to do just that.
I totally get it. And to your point as well, long form, I think with long form, it gives a bit of depth.
Yes.
If something is short, don't get me wrong. I believe there is a place for shorts. I believe there's a place for, just cut to the chase and let me, like this morning I was listening to, I think it was Alex Omozi, because I've been working on my sales and how to get better at selling. And I just went on there in a press video, and he put 5 points, and I wrote those 5 points down, and I was like, okay, during the day I'll be going through these 5 points, right? There's a place for that, but there's also a place for depth. So back to Alex Mosi, twice a week he normally sends like an email, long form email. He calls it the Mosi Minute, but it doesn't take a minute, honestly. And by the time I've read it and reread it, there's something about depth, but I believe depth also gives clarity, and long form also leads to credibility, right? If you can talk about something for an extended period of time and put it on paper, and when somebody goes through it, it's the same thing when they're talking to you in person, you still sound the same. There's a bit of credibility that comes from that, but also that goes before you even speak. And I believe as well, transformation, right? So, long form, there's still a place for long form. What are 2 or 3 things a book can do for an entrepreneur that a social media post or even a podcast episode maybe cannot, in your experience?
Now, first of all, like you said, long form has depth to it. It has clarity. I can tell you things in 2 minutes, but those 2 minutes, will it be enough to get you to the point where you need to get to? It can give you ideas. Short forms are good for ideas because they can just give you something immediately to start thinking. But then you've got to do the thinking. You've got to go into more research to find out that information. Short form is not going to give you that. Short form is not going to give you that information, that research. It will not do that. You have to go back and do some research yourself. So if you are an entrepreneur and you have an offer or a program or something which you are doing, and you put it in a book, somebody can sit down and follow that book step by step
Mm.
get to where they're going. And like you said, it's trust. You start to trust this individual because you believe that, oh my God, if they've written this much, they must know a lot.
Know something.
They must know something, you know. I'm writing a book with someone now, and he's writing a book on entrepreneurship. Now, obviously, when he came to me, for example, he wanted to write a book on entrepreneurship, and I said to him, listen, entrepreneurship is a wide, it's massive, you know. We have to focus on one part of it, you know, and then you can always move to do the other part of it, you know. And that now creates, like you said, a funnel, because once one person reads one book that you've done, they start thinking, oh, okay, I'm going to the next stage now. Let's use entrepreneurship, for example. We've decided to start with the startup and the mindset. You know, that's where we've started to, because before you can become an entrepreneur, your mindset has to be, you know, you have to have the right mindset. If you go in without the right mindset, you're not going to stay the course, because all sorts of things happen when you're an entrepreneur. So we started with that, and then what it takes to start up. So obviously, once you started up, you will now want to know what happened when you started up. Where do I go from here? How do I, you know, extend my marketing? How do I extend, you know, how do I compete in the market? How do I, you understand? So those are
the various parts of being, you know, starting a business. That there's bits where, who are you as an entrepreneur, and then the practical elements. That's running a business. So like writing a book then gives you that opportunity to almost focus as well, right? And to help other people that are going to get a hold of that book to also focus. And when it's something physical, or even something that you can see, and you know, there's a lot, you know, from this you can move to this, you can stop, close it, start, you know. So there's a lot that then comes with that. Kemi, something else that we've been looking at is numbers, right? This is kind of like the commercial bit. And you know, we've been talking, you know, with people, we've been saying a book is like, well, you go to the shop, and these days you can even get books for $3.90. I was looking at buying a book for somebody I know. They're buying a house at the minute, and I know one thing they said is, I wouldn't have any energy to do the house up once I've bought it. So I was looking at books around DIY and, you know, things that can make it easy for them. And, you know, when they've settled in their house with a cup of tea, whatever, then they can just open this book and get some inspiration. So, you know, a book is like maybe 3, 4, 10, maybe £20 generally. That's the really high-end book. But when we look at, a lot of people think, oh, that means I'll have to sell 2,000 books. But the book is not the product, isn't it? It's a gateway. So for somebody listening who's never thought about the numbers, could you talk about how one, you know, £3, £10, £20 book can lead to speaking engagements, to group programs, to online courses, to contracts, recurring revenue over the years, so that we kind of understand the longevity and the growth that comes for a business with writing a book?
So as an entrepreneur, when you write your book, what you were saying is that this is my shop. And my shop is long term. And in my shop, you can get all sorts of things. So the book then is your lead magnet, if you like, to these other products that I'm selling. You know, so if you are a coach, you can then introduce your book to a global audience. That's what I always say. The fact now means that your book gets you to a global audience. You are no longer local. You're no longer the local corner shop. You are now a global audience. Because I was saying this, I said, the other day I looked on Amazon and my book had sold in a country I've never heard of it. And I thought, where is this? You know, somebody bought the book in this country. Who is that? You know, so imagine if you had a program there that somebody can connect with you. Now, a lot of people I work with them online. So I'm global, you know. So if you're in America, I can still, you know, meet with you. So if you're running a program, you're a nutritionist, you're a physiotherapist, or you're providing a service or a product, you can use your book to get that message out there. And I always look at something called the 3 M's as my theme for writing a book.
We'll come to that. Don't give that secret away just yet. That's powerful. I'd love a whole section on this one. I think this is really useful because we will then start making it practical for the person who's been sitting there with my book is here. If only I could, if only I could get my book out. Kemi's going to bring that in a few minutes. But just for the entrepreneur, if you just had what Kemi just said, that book is the gateway. It's not just a £20, it's not just, yay, I sold 100 copies, or I only sold 10 copies. It's actually, you've had 100 people exposed to your book long enough, and now 5 or 10 of those people want to go deeper with you, and now you've developed that into a course if you're a coach, right? So that was the thing that got you out of the funk that you were in, and you put it on paper, and now you've gone in depth and you've created a course, and then you break that course into a £20, a £40 course. It could be, a £40 that's a low end course that, is more accessible to more people. And then now you go into even more depth, and you have you're offering a course online still, but maybe as a mastermind, and that's a fewer people, and you can then offer that for £1,000 a pop to those people. So now that becomes like your 5-10 people that want to go deeper with you at 5,000, where the book was the one that made them think about what you're talking about and then want to go deeper with you. And then even others might want one-to-one, and now you're busy, right? So now you decide, I'm going to be charging £10,000 for an hour of my time, right? So it's your book that's opened the gateway. And then if you do the numbers, then that can be how you then build your business from that one book. For us, for example, we have got 2 advisors, 2 online advisors that we've created that you interact with. One interacts with school leaders, another one interacts with school sellers. And if you're struggling with something, they'll answer your questions, and then they give you one big change that you can go away and implement. And then they ask you, do you want to go further with that? And if you type yes, then you get a copy of the fundraising book if you're a school, or you get a copy of how to go through gatekeepers if you're a school seller. And if you want to go even deeper with that, you can come and subscribe to our offering on our website, where we match the sellers and the schools, and boom, you've got quicker into schools rather than waiting 12 to 18 months. But it's the book that started it all for us as well. Yeah. Let's move into fear. Because writing a book is fearful. I remember when I wrote Nguzo, I was also kind of going through what you were going through, kind of similar situation as what you were going through when you first wrote your first book. I was going through a really difficult time, and I said, you know what, I'm going back to my childhood, back to what I was taught, and I wrote Nguzo. And in Swahili, Nguzo means principle, pillars. And people are afraid. People say, I don't want to write. Why are people afraid to write? What do you see?
I was on holiday just, this weekend and this week, and I was speaking to people about writing books. I always, anywhere I go, I talk about writing books. Yeah. And this one person said, no, I can't write my book because I journal, but I don't want anyone to know about my journaling, because they are afraid that people will know about them. They see that this knowledge about themselves is for themselves. When you are writing your book, your knowledge is for other people to learn.
Yes.
You understand? So when you keep that book to yourself, I see it as selfish, because you are, you first of all, some people are scared that no one's going to buy the book. But your book is not just for you to write and then, that's it. Your book is your legacy. I did a write-up a while back, and I talked about people like some of these old writers like George Orwell,
Animal Farm.
Animal Farm. We still listen to, we still read those books now.
And it's still relevant to our life now.
It's still very relevant. You understand? He's gone a long time ago. Or Oliver Twist, books like that. Every Christmas we're watching, Oliver Twist,
That's true.
You understand? Those books, Jane Eyre, when she wrote that book, people didn't know that the book we'll still be hearing about it today. I remember when I read Jane Eyre, I was a child, because I'd read every book, and then it was my dad's book, and I thought, okay, there's no more books. You understand? Well, that's what I'm saying. So what I'm saying is that book becomes your legacy, but fear of what are people going to say? Are people going to judge me? I'm writing with someone at the moment, and that was her thing as well. Fear. It was like, people are going to know my story. People are going to know about me. And I said to her, your story is a learning point for somebody else.
Yes.
So if people know about you, they're not knowing about you because they're looking for judgment. They're knowing about you because they're thinking, wow, she's gone through what I went through. And now she's able to come out of it. That would be, I must be able to come out of what I'm going through too.
Yeah, that's a very powerful statement.
And she was like, oh, who's going to want to hear my story? Who's going to want? And that is all fear, Somebody wants to hear your story. Somebody wants to learn from what you know. Somebody wants to develop the knowledge because you've got the knowledge. I just keep saying, we go to school and we read books. If somebody did not stay there to write those books, where will our knowledge be? How would we learn? People go to secondary school, they go to university, they have to read books. If somebody said, oh, no, I'm going to keep my knowledge to myself, I'm not going to share my knowledge.
Who's going to learn? Yeah, that's true. But a lot of people might be thinking, so Kemi, just to kind of make your point there, a lot of people might think, I'm not a George Owen, I'm not a Jane Eyre. They were special, so that could be the main fear. So if there's somebody who's listening and that's the place that they are, what's one thing you could say from maybe they're really stuck, they know that they've got this thing. What is it from your perspective as a mental health nurse, as a coach? What can you say to them to help them get out of that so that at least they get the book? Because somebody needs it, like you just said.
Yes. Number one, Jane Eyre is just one writer in millions of writers. I feel everybody has the right to tell their story. You have the right to write. You don't have to be Jane Eyre. You don't have to be, what's her name, the writer of Harry Potter. You don't have to be that. Your story is unique to you. And as long as you are able to articulate that into a book, you become an authority. You become a literary guru. You know, one way or the other. A lot of this, have you seen most of the stars? They all have books. Oprah Winfrey has a book. We saw even the Prince write a book about himself. Everybody has a book. It doesn't make them the most, the biggest writers in the world. It doesn't make them George Orwell, but at least it creates that authority for them. It helps them share their story. It's also therapeutic.
That's good. Yes.
So it is a form of therapy for you. And it's a legacy. You are leaving a legacy for your children's children. I always say that your book is your business card.
It goes before. That's a very powerful statement. Your book is your business card. So it's about kind of almost like you're reframing it, you're kind of normalizing it.
Yes.
And when before the episode, we were talking about emails, and we were sending out emails and one of the things that struck me was there's a way where we can make it small enough where that fear, because fear is just a false expectation appearing real,
Very real.
right?
Yeah, that's in my book.
It's not happened.
Evidence.
It's in the future. Somebody might not. Who is that somebody? Right? And it's also based on past experience. We've done something in the past, something has happened, and now we're kind of like living in that place that thing might happen again. But actually, it's exactly like you say. It's about reframing that the thing that has happened to you, actually, you are showing that you've come out of it, and that will help somebody else to come out. So it's like, just reframing it, challenging yourself a little bit. So what's the kind of thing that you can say to people? How do you start? What's one small thing that you can do that you can share as a micro habit where you could recommend for people who are really busy, who are anxious, maybe juggling a lot? What can they do to just get started?
What I say is, think about it first. When you're writing, don't think about it as writing a book. Just think about it as writing. I'm just writing what's in my mind. Just put it down on paper. Sometimes you don't even need to put it down on paper. You can record it, and these are the things that we talk about when we start to work together. I always say 500 words a day. That's not a lot of words. By the time you write 500 words a day, calculate it, 500 words a day, even if you do 5 days a week, that's already 2,500 words. That's
powerful. That's powerful.
That's already.
Could you speak it into like some recording tool?
You can
just speak 500 words.
You can speak 500 words, and we use that a lot. It's part of what we do when we start working. And I find a lot of my writers, when they start, I don't know how am I going to write, and then they start writing thousands of words. One of my writers, she's a doctor. When she first started, I don't know. Now we said
she can't stop.
She can't stop.
She's got the bug. She's got the Kemi 29 books in a year bag.
They all get infected. They get that infection. Even the one I just started now on entrepreneur, he's like, okay, let's go. I'm like, we
can't wait.
They get infected. And you say to them, okay, we're going to write this amount of words, and before you know it, they've written thousands of words, and I'm thinking, okay, you got the bug.
Yeah. So you know what? If you're listening, you better be ready to catch this bug, because Kemi will be offering an opportunity for you to catch this very positive bug of writing in a few minutes. But just to go back what we've just said. So we've named the fear, we've shrunk the habit, and now I want to go into process. Kemi was really wanting to give us this. She's a giver.
Yes.
So how do you actually move somebody from I have an idea to I'm holding my book?
Now, I did a webinar that was just a few weeks ago. About 2 weeks ago.
We'll put the link.
Yes, and it was a 7-step blueprint which I have, which I take people through from idea to published book. So the 7 steps tells you what you need to be looking at. So the first thing we would do, for example, is have that initial clarity call where we will talk about the different things you want to talk about, because most of the time when people come to me, they have like 100 ideas, and it is how do we then bring the one idea which is going to be the book, so we start to brainstorm, and we do the brainstorm together, we do the research together, and then we come up with one theme which we're going to be looking at, and then once we do that, we then start going through all the various steps which we go through. But what I do is look at you looking at your book as a message. So the first M is your book is a message. So what message are you trying? Which is why I have that blueprint called Start With Your Why. That's where everyone starts with. So what is the message you want to tell people? What do you want them to
Powerful. Powerful. I think Simon Sinek has a YouTube on that as well. Start with your why. That is such a powerful question and a powerful place to start with, because you work with people who have multiple audiences, just like you. Some people are teens, parents, and we all are more than just one thing, right? You got faith, you got professionals, and that's I suppose how you then help somebody to decide this is the one reader for this book, right? You know, it's that M, it's that Y, it's that message. Can you walk us through you know, kind of the messy middle, just one little thing about that messy middle? So you got the message, but then most people actually don't get stuck at the start, right? It's they start, they write, and then now what? Do you have a process of getting people out of that messy middle?
Yes, most of the time it's usually a discussion between us about what you want to say, and then we start to break it down, you know, and we start. I have a lot of experience with different aspects of life, so whatever you're writing, I start to look at, okay, what if you looked at this way? You know, for example, what if you talked about this about yourself? What if, you know, basically we know the message, we know who we're sending the message to, we know what your pain point is, because that's the main thing. What is the pain point? So we start thinking, okay, what do we write in the pain point? Before we even get there, we do an outline, because it is the outline that will tell us. It's like your kind of like your foundation. You know? So you know where the room is going to be, you know where the windows are going, you know where, you understand?
Your blueprint.
That's your blueprint. So once we have that outline, we start to think, okay, what should go in this one chapter? And to be fair, most people, once they start getting the idea of what they want to write, the main problem is not knowing what you want to write about. But once you know that I'm focusing on this, they always seem to have what they want to say in that. And if they get stuck, they come and we discuss it. And I look at the options. Okay, so if you take it this way, this is what you're going to get. If you take it this way, this is what you're going to get. And if you take it straight, this is what you're going to get. So what do you want to achieve? As a coach, I'm there to guide, you know.
That's the power of it.
Yes. And as a strategist, I look at the wider picture. So if you are trying to reach somebody's pain point, and this is a question that everybody asks, what wakes people up at night? You know, what is it that somebody's looking at and thinking, oh God, how am I going to do this? You know, so if you're trying to deal with that, then what direction should you be going? Then we look at the market as well, you know, because you want to expand your market. So we've got your message, you want to expand your market. So when you are out there in your market, what are you trying to tell your market? I have somebody who's writing a book on image reset, you know, about your image. So she understands what it means to transform your image from the inside out, and then, you know, the outside. So what the person who's going to get this, what do they need to see? You know, so if I'm going to transform my image, what should I be looking for?
What should I be looking for? And for the founders who are listening, this is really, really important for us to underline. You're not just helping them to get a book done, isn't it? You're actually helping them to build an asset for their business.
That's it.
And you said something really powerful there. It's a coaching activity, it's a coaching exercise where, you know, certain questions are going to be asked of you, and these are the questions. The thing that has been stuck in there, these are questions that will help you get. So you're somebody who's guiding them. And when you're guiding them, how are you thinking? Where does this book plug into their funnel?
That's exactly what I'm thinking. Because like I said, it's about the market, you know? So you've got the message. Where are we going with the market? You know? So who are your audience and what do your audience want? You know, so you want to expand your market, because your book is not just going to be your local, you know, friends and family. Your book is going to go to another country, for example.
Yeah.
What will the person who's sitting in another country looking at your book, why would they buy it? What do they want from that? You know, and that's what we now start to discuss. And we also do some research of what are other people doing, you know, so that we can then, because when we do the research with the book, we also have AI, which we use as research, as a tool to help us, you know, and then we know that, okay, this is what people are looking for, you know, in terms of what research, you know, they've looked for in the past, what feedback we've got from books in the past. Then they look at that, and then your market is expanded. And then you then begin to think about the money, because once you've got your market, what are you selling to your market? What is that book going to sell? So it's not just going to be the book. You're going to tell them, okay, I am an image consultant. I can help you with your image if you're struggling, if you've had trauma and your trauma is holding you back from presenting yourself in the right kind of way in a boardroom, for example. I can help you with that.
So it's the first step, and this is the exciting bit everybody has been waiting for. Kemi is leading us to, which is your book as your funnel. And then how does your book actually help you to start getting recurring revenue? Because this is kind of like the beauty of, and we'll hear this spoken a lot, multiple streams of income and passive income. You know, and this, I think this is what everyone has been waiting for. How do books actually make money? Let's really get practical. I know people listening will care about numbers.
Yes.
Can we talk through a simple example of?
So, what I would say is that when people write a book, say, for example, at the end of the book, you put in there, get my bonus book. You put a bonus. Yeah. The bonus activity gets your funnel started. So people click on the funnel and they give you their email address and whatever, and you give them a free gift, you know, and they become part of your email list. You then have your course and whatever else that you're doing, and you start to introduce it to them to say, you know, I know that this gift I've given you is going to help you with doing X, Y, and Z. But if you want to take this further, I can help you. You know, for example, you're a nutritionist or you're somebody who helps people with weight loss. You know, weight loss is quite a big thing, you know, and you've written a book about how to, you know, even if it's a what's it called, a recipe book, you know, and then you talk about, okay, if you want to lose weight in the next 90 days, you know, here is my details, contact me, and you can either go through a course or I can have one-to-one coaching with you. You know, all these things are sources of revenue, you know, sometimes even merchandise. You know, once you've written your book, you can create merchandise around your book, you know, t-shirts, you know, hats, you know, all kinds of things around your book, which then exposes your business, you know, and makes people begin to understand. So you now create that funnel. You now have an email list where when people come in, whenever you have a new thing you're doing, people are beginning to trust you. Because they now have a relationship with you. They're seeing you come in, you know, you're sending them emails, you're telling them something great that's happening at the moment, you're updating them. They now see that you care, you know, you now become someone who cares. And then before you know it, you get, like you said, maybe 5 people will now register on your course. Even if it's you start to think about a high ticket course. You know, I do a high ticket course. My course, I look at done with you, done for you, and do it yourself. So there's three opportunities. So you can imagine there's three opportunities for an income stream if you're using your business. You can say, okay, I've got a course, you just enroll and do your thing. And if you want me to do it with you, this is, how much it's going to cost you. You spend more to do that. And if you want it done for you, then you just give me
you pay a little bit more, isn't it?
And I'll do it for you. And that's how you build your revenue and your funnel.
Because everybody your market will have different, kind of like different levels, people at different levels. So the book is kind of like the gateway, and then you are able to communicate, build kind of that know, like, and trust factor, KLT. And then from there, you can offer other elements. So if we imagine 500 people, the marketing that comes with that, and then you have 500 readers over a year, and they're paying 5%, so you have like 5%. So 5% of just that would give you like 25 people. And those 25 people, maybe the next step, 10 of those people become paying clients for your done for you or your done with you course or product. So then, maybe the done with you is about 1K, from those 10 people, or 3K maybe, or 10K, which is done for you. Maybe it's a one-on-one program, or one-on-one coaching program, or done with you would be maybe one-to-many mastermind program. So we're not talking about a 20 pound book anymore, at the very high end of it. Now we're talking about tens of thousands for a real business. So this could be, if it was 10 people, 10K, then you're talking 100 grand, right?
That's true.
So that's the value of that book, based on maybe your most painful moment that then led you to, learn how you can put that on paper, and then build that into something where you find your tribe, your community, and it totally changes the energy around writing, doesn't it, Kemi?
Yes, it certainly does. To be fair, we mustn't discount the fact that the book itself can sell thousands.
Of course,
I've seen people make millions from a book. That is my focus as well, because I've seen people make millions from books. It depends on if you have the right strategy, if this is your focus. Some people focus on using their books to make millions, but you just need to market it in the right way. You need the right strategy to do it. You need to make sure it's a book that people want to read. So you start out with that in mind. But if you then want to use it as your authority as well, then that book does that for you. It leads you to so many. Like now, I'm a mental health practitioner. I now have my mental health part, so you could say multiple streams of income. And now, because people see me as an authority now, knowing that, okay,
you've written a book. You've written a book about something that they it's an authoritative thing, and it's quite a big thing at the minute. Well-being is huge. And now you're coming into this space as a trained professional, as a lead within that profession. So you could be talking to families, to churches, to communities. For us, for example, there are a lot of people selling into schools. So your book will be a well-positioned book to help them deal with something. And like you just said before, you'd have researched. So you would write in a specific way for a specific part of that market, because just like entrepreneurship, mental health is a big thing.
It is.
So your book can help you get past gatekeepers, isn't it? Can help you get past like those. I forgot. I worked in mental health when I first came to this country, and I forgot what do we call them? Trust? Is it trust leaders? Like mental health.
Yes, you do have trust leaders. You have, because in mental health, there's so many leaders in different areas.
Yeah.
So
those are the people you want to get past, isn't it? Because
to be fair,
you want your book to be adopted
over,
isn't it?
A manager in a team. If you can get to the manager in a team to say, this is what I do. In fact, one of my colleagues, because I did a program called Caring Through the Storm. And one of my colleagues was saying, oh my God, we need to offer this. I need to offer this to the trust where we were working, because they don't have anyone who's providing service for the parent, for that
family, for those parents. And so that will help you open those kind of partnership conversations, isn't it, with somebody like that?
That's it.
And it's something you can leave them to hold, isn't it? It's a physical thing that you can leave, and then they'll talk to somebody, and it's like right there when you're not there.
That's it. Your book it goes where you can't go. Your book is there when you can't be there. Somebody would say, the other day, my mental health coloring book, the first one I did, is called Beauty in Diversity. And I look at diversity a lot, and my daughter sent me a small video clip, which a friend had done. She had colored in the book, and she said, I am in love with this book. This book has changed my life. She's in uni. You can imagine. So, when you're in uni and it can be a bit lonely and all that, and you have this, she sent the video in, and I was so chuffed. She said, this book has changed my life. It's just a coloring book. But in that coloring book, I talk about positive affirmations. I talk about, I have quotes from leading women who talk about what it means to grow, and that personal development element is there. Mental health element is there. Everything I do has mental health element in it. I'm writing a book on productivity as well at the moment, and there's mental health element in it.
Huge.
So I am kind of placed in a very lovely, beautiful place. I love where I am, in the sense that it's not just writing a book, it's creating healing opportunities for people.
Oh, I love that. And it's done it for you, so you understand it in a visceral way, right? Because you've gone through that process. So when you're talking, your authenticity will come through. Okay, now we have been talking deep things, which we love, but we also want to know more about you in very, very quick fire round. So before we bring this plane to land, we always do a quick fire round in my kitchen. These are short answers. No thinking. That's the only rule in this round. The first thing that comes to mind, you got to say it. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, good. This is a big one for you. Pen and paper or laptop when you're writing?
Pen and paper.
Okay, traditional.
I start with pen and paper, and then I go on.
And then you go into the laptop. Yeah. Are you a morning writer or a night writer?
It depends, to be honest. Sometimes I'm a morning writer, and I get my inspiration very early in the morning and I start writing. There's been times when I start writing and I can't stop for hours in the morning. But then there's times at night as well where I sit down there, not doing anything, and then I start writing. So it could either be in the morning or evening, to be fair.
You go with how you're a real writer. The expressions just bursting out of you. And
but once it comes, I just write.
You don't stop.
That's a habit formed, which I did. That as soon as the thoughts come, because it will go. If you don't write it, it will go. And I did a write-up recently. I was away with friends, and the situation there, I just reflected on it and I turned it into a write-up, about the importance of vision and goal and things like that, and knowing where you're going. So that's how I write. It would just come.
Brilliant. One book you wish you had written?
One book I wish I had written was the George Orwell book that we talked about.
Animal Farm.
Animal Farm. I wish I'd written that, because I so see that in today's world.
Yeah.
It is, I don't know why now everyone should read that book. Everyone.
It's so
I've read it
relevant.
several times, so I think everyone should read it because
Yeah.
it's very relevant. It was relevant thousands of years ago. It's still relevant today.
Okay, now the next one is probably going to come from Animal Farm, but you never know. A line from any book that lives in your head rent free.
Some animals are equal, but some are more equal
than others.
than others. That's it. Some animals are equal, but some are more equal than others.
The pigs came up with that one, didn't they? One thing people get wrong about authors.
They feel that an author has to be somebody who is a literary guru. You understand? You must have gone and studied literature or done some kind of Oxford training or something like that. But no, an author is somebody who is inspired. And there's a lot of people who didn't even go to school who are inspired, and they start to write. So that's an author. An author is somebody who loves to put to paper their inspiration. So it's not, you don't have to be a literary guru. You don't have to have gone to Oxford University or Cambridge or, studied literature and
or Harvard.
Accents, type of thing.
Oh, I love that. Now, we'll do the last one, which such a shame. I want to ask you so many questions. 3 words for how you want people to feel after reading one of your books.
I feel good. I feel good. When you read my book, I want you to feel good about yourself.
I feel good. That's how you know someone's a writer. I had to count it in my fingers. Love that. The quick fire round is done.
Thank you. That was like fire in my bone. Oh my God. I have to think. Quick. I used to be, we used to do this thing in school called impromptu impromptu speaking, where you're told to come and speak and to do a 2-minute talk without thinking about it. And they just give you a talk.
2 minutes? Have they never met us women?
Well, there you go. That was good practice because I did a lot of it.
No, but that's where it comes from, I can see, right? I love it. Yeah. Okay, so I always finish with this question. And it's based off what's, I think, just a thread that weaves throughout everything we do in LocaeRise. And that's what we call our one big change. So if you could choose one big change in how entrepreneurs and experts use books in their work, one shift that would make everything else easier, what would it be and why? Just one.
One big change, I think, is my book will transform lives. That is one thing. Because when you are writing your book, you are thinking, my book is going to transform someone's life in one way or the other. Now, even if it's a fiction book, fiction books actually changed my life, especially love books. I became
those days of Mills and Boone.
I was the queen of Mills and Boone. I read so many of them. You name it, I've read it. Yes, and it changed my life. I became this romantic. It's just auto romantic. So when you are writing, one thing is I want to transform lives in whatever way you want to do it. Either in your business, you want to use it as a way to transform lives. Either in you want to transform 2 lives. You're transforming yours,
Mm, mm,
You're
mm.
transforming somebody else's.
And
You're
that's the very principle of a business anyway, right?
yes, yeah,
Businesses exist to solve a problem.
that's it.
And if you can write that book, it will go in front of you to solve a big problem for a lot of people. I mean, look at the world today. One of the biggest changes has been somebody that sold books. We all know who he is. We're not going to get into it. Yeah, it's and it was, if those books could easily go into people's lives, right? So yeah, that's brilliant. Just that whole ecosystem, and the world will feel different because the book is not about you. It's about, I love that, Kemi. You say that it's not about you. It's about the person you're writing for. Kemi, thank you so much for bringing not just your expertise, but your heart. You completely poured into everybody on this session as an author, as a mental health nurse, as a coach, as a minister, as a founder. We actually have got to see, why you're able to write 29 books. You have such a heart for it. Where can listeners find out more about Kemi and what you've been working on, and that little promise that you made at the beginning of
yes, my little promise, and I have an extra promise in addition to that. So I've got my writing skills blueprint. Start with your why. Yeah. You can put it in the notes, so the link will be in the notes. You can also go on our website. I have two websites actually. I've got the Kemi Emmanuel Publishing.com, and I've got Kemi Emmanuel Academy.com, but you can go into the academy from the Kemi Emmanuel Publishing.com, and that is also being revamped at the moment. You can also get in touch on and listen to my podcast on the Purpose Pathway podcasts, and you can also subscribe to that. And in the writing skills, for the first 10 people who download the writing skills, I will offer a 15-minute strategy call. Strategy in the sense that once you download, start with your why, we can start to trash out where you want to go with your book. And I can start to give you direction and strategy on how you can get there. So that's one thing that I would do. So, and also I'm on all social media platforms. I'm on LinkedIn as Kemi Emmanuel Publishing. I'm on TikTok as Kemi Emmanuel. I'm on Facebook as Kemi Emmanuel. I'm on Instagram as Kemi Emmanuel. So you can't miss me. Just type in Kemi Emmanuel.
And a brilliant way as well to get in touch with Kemi. Oh my God. For anyone who's been listening and thinking, that's it, I am done saying one day, it's time my book actually exists. Here's what I want you to do next. Write down your 3-line outline. Who is this book for? Kemi has just told us. First thing you have to do, who is this book for? What are they struggling with? And what shifts for them by the end? But most importantly, go and find Kemi. Go and find Kemi. After you've blocked your 15 minutes writing slots in her calendar, connect with her and grab that strategy call. Because I will say one thing, books are not supposed to be inside of us. Books are supposed to be out there because your book is somebody else's healing. We'll put the links to Kemi Emmanuel Publishing. We'll put the links to Kemi Emmanuel Academy. We'll put all of Kemi's social media posts, but most importantly, we'll put her generous offer on our YouTube episode that comes out every Monday at 8:40 from our website, LocaeRise, from our YouTube channel on LocaeRise. So if this episode has landed for you, share it with one other founder, educator, or vendor, and keep saying, I'll write it one, instead of you keep saying, I'll write it one day. Go and start with just those 3 things. Leave a comment on the YouTube when it comes out with a sentence, because we want to hold you accountable, and subscribe. Don't miss the future conversation from our kitchen, from my kitchen to yours. I would love to wish you every single courage as you start small, start with clarity, start knowing that the book is for somebody else. Kemi, would you like to say one last word before we go?
Well, one of the things that I would like to say also is that you can visit my author page. So I'm going to put my author page in there. So if you want to get any of my books to see what I write about, and you're in schools as well. So I do a lot of write-up for children in schools on literacy and numeracy to help them start to learn how to write. And I also do things around identity and anxiety. So I will be very, very pleased to share my books with you. So, yeah.
Brilliant. And we cannot wait. Thank you so much, Kemi. Please do come and visit with us again. We'd love to have you back in my kitchen. I know you need to go and rest. You just come back from a holiday. Just today managed to get onto this episode. So we're so super grateful that you made it here. And for everybody listening, as we head to the weekend, have a lovely weekend and speak to you soon in my kitchen. Bye for now.
Bye.